Hey now, and welcome down to KC Toy Reviews. We are here today with The Chainsaw Man by End Toys. And this character in particular is from the Resident Evil 4 video game, which was recently remastered. And well, the initial impression of this figure was rather good. There are a few things that are starting to already concern me. So, if you're curious if this figure is worth your time, effort, and money, then let's go ahead, fine comb some of those details, and dive right the hell goddamn in. Take my ball sack. Alright, so here we are with Chainsaw Man from Resident Evil 4 by End Toys. Personally, the remake of Resident Evil 4 is probably one of the best games I've ever played. I'm a massive Resident Evil fan. I've played every single game from 1 and everything in between, all the way to Village. And now enter Chainsaw Man into the scene, and well, like I said, I liked it at first, but there are now a few things that are starting to stick out and bother me, and well, in shot we can tackle a few of those. I would think that the noose that's actually supposed to be around the neck should be a little bit lower, say maybe right here versus here, because it does give this elongated neck type appearance. Now again, it's not horrible, and maybe if we tinkered with this a little bit, we can get it to, I don't know, sink a little bit more. And I've been curious this whole time what the face is actually going to look like. We have these big scary eyes that we can see through those holes, but did they actually include a face sculpt underneath? Well, let's take a look. Now, we can look at this in a few different lenses. For starters, as a fan of the game, I don't think I'm as scared of Chainsaw Man as I was before. And well, all jokes aside, it's a decent head sculpt. Sunken eyes, slight glisten to the eyes, which as we've seen and I've mentioned, do pop through those two holes in the mask. Whether they sculpted this specifically for this project or if this is some leftover cast or zombie face they had left around, I don't know if I care. I think it was just ultimately pretty cool that this detail was underneath that mask. And then let's just take a look one last time at Grandpa Chainsaw Man before we put that mask on. I mean, we have to really take this in because we got a grandpa with a chainsaw in a zombie mode. I mean, this is the most dangerous thing I've ever seen. However, we're going to go ahead and put that mask right back on. And then briefly before we make our way down, the mask is similarly cool. I mean, I see several different stains, contrasts, and levels of depth throughout this mask. We have ripped, burn looks, blood looks, and this stain kind of yellowish throughout this mask. And it might sound stupid, but add in those creases in the ropes. There's just a lot of texture and coolness going on with this mask, and because it's real material, I just think the overall presentation is nicer. And as we make our way down, we have this blood-stained tailored shirt, and well, it's tailored nicely, it fits him nicely, it's kind of like this little fat suit underneath there. Beyond the buttons and underneath here, there is a Velcro setup, so if you did want to tamper with it and take the shirt off, it's easy enough to do. The only complaint is the depth of blood all looks completely soaked in, and then you go to the hands and it does have a brighter, vibrant look, so it's too bad there wasn't some way to kind of mesh this brighter, vibrant blood stain on top of here with some actual spats of blood and red on there. I mean, overall, there are actually really no complaints. What I've just mentioned are minor gripes. I actually think this looks really nice. And call me crazy, but I do think that the chainsaw is rather big. Comment below if you think so as well, but I think the scale of the chainsaw is off. I think the blade should be a little bit down and the actual motored box part should be slightly smaller. Even the handle, the way his hand is actually holding it, was absurdly tight because it's rather big, and the hand gestures and the way the holes are pre-put in there, you really had to stretch those fingers around it to fit it properly. And of course, scale and size aside, it looks pretty nice. This is a rather nice accessory. The texture, the paint application, something about the blood splatters and the pattern throw me off a little bit on there. It's too similar how it's kind of dripping down from the top to the right to the left, come around downtown, right down to the town, right down, come around downtown. But other than the downtown, the motor and the blood part here look really, really nice. It had some decent weight to it. Contrast, textures throughout. It's a solid accessory. Again, we just need to harp on the size and scale. I think it is slightly too big. And a couple things we can note, I'm probably not going to spend too much time, but we do have a crotch grabber stand that's included. I probably should have mentioned earlier, if you watch my videos, I don't usually have the figures on the stand, but this guy is a pain in the butt. Oh, as I'm saying it. I was going to try to get him to stand for a hot second there. But yeah, this guy does not stand very well. He is a complete balancing act. If you're going to put him in your case, I would highly suggest having him on the stand. And then the feet, I mean, yeah, I think that's the problem there. There's just zero articulation in those ankles. We can pivot from left to right, and that's about it. It doesn't go up, it doesn't go down, left, right, come around downtown right now. Those are piss poor articulation in those ankles. And then the pant material, again, similarly nice. We have this blood-soaked pattern throughout there. It almost feels like a mix between a parachute and a cloth. It's a weird material, but at a few steps back, eyes glance, I do think it actually looks nice and blends well with the rest of the outfit. And not that it matters too much, but on this guy, articulation in the legs, we have double jointed knees, so as you can see, you can do whatever the hell you want. We always like to do this little flying motion here. Huh? And same thing on the arms. We do have double jointed elbows, so fantastic articulation. I mean, all around downtown, looks like he's going to go for a boxing match right there. Yeah, you want to box me like a pack of dolphins? And I'm going to kind of breeze through this one, but I just wanted to show that there are some swap out arms. As far as accessories, what you see through the video is what he has. Only that chainsaw and these 2 pairs of swappable arms. Obviously to note, there is no articulation in the wrists. You are just changing out these arms at the elbow joint, which did pair up with double jointed elbows, so you have some nice articulation there. But we do need to stress again, there is no articulation in the wrist on this guy. And a quick side-by-side with Leon, and well, not necessarily the correct version of Leon, but for now, this will have to do. And the first thing we need to point out again is the size. Obviously, these are 2 different companies. The Leon on the left is made by Damn Toys, Chainsaw Man on the right by End Toys. I would guess that Chainsaw Man would be slightly bigger than Leon. Not like hulking and towering over him, but definitely a little bit bigger, and that's just the way it felt to me in the video game. And if we think about the recent villain releases like Lady D, who I do have a video up right now, and now Chainsaw Man, it seems like they're starting to butcher the size and scale of some of these villains, which is a damn shame because so far this thing's been pretty goddamn good. And there we have it, Chainsaw Man by End Toys. And it's an interesting name because isn't there an anime, a super popular anime, Chainsaw Man, with 3 Zero figures out there? But with that said, what the hell else are you going to call a big chainsaw-wielding zombie? I think Chainsaw Man is 100% appropriate. And as we start to round this out and slap a score on this guy, a few closing notes. For starters, underneath that mask, we basically have a silly-looking old zombie grandpa. Not that that's a bad thing, but it did diminish the fear a little bit. Slap the mask back on, and the fear is right back up to 10. I take back what I said earlier. I am afraid of this guy as soon as that mask is back on. In the game and in front of me, this was a very frightening character, especially when we first encountered him right in the beginning of Resident Evil 4. Now, the articulation on the ankles is piss poor, but the knees, the elbows, absolutely amazing. Because that articulation is piss poor on the ankles, this guy is a goddamn balancing act. With the balancing act aside, tailoring on the pants, the shirt, and even the mask, I think is pretty spot on. I think the only few things, again, we can really gripe on is there's 0 articulation in the wrist and 0 articulation in the ankles. There's no accessories other than the oversized chainsaw that comes with it, and maybe I'm crazy, but I truly think that the scale is a little bit off on that chainsaw. With all that said, I think it's a good time to slap a score on this guy, and what's coming to mind like an owl pecking my ball sack. I can't say it. And what's coming to mind like an owl pecking my ball sack. Jesus Christ. Alright, I got this. And what's coming to mind like an owl pecking my ball sack. Jesus Christ. You got this. You got this. And what's coming to mind like an owl pecking my ball sack is a 7.1 out of 10. That's right, a 7.1 out of 10. Owls and ball sacks aside, I think this is a pretty decent figure. I'm not sure it falls into the 8 category due to the giraffe necks, some of the articulation, and with a 7.1 out of 10, do I recommend this piece? Well, yeah, as a Resident Evil fan, I think you will be pleasantly surprised when you have it in hand. If you don't care about the scale, if you don't care about the articulation issues on the ankle and the wrist, then I see no reason why you wouldn't want to get this piece, especially for that price point. So, with a 7.1 out of 10, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here today at KC Toys with Chainsaw Man by End Toys. I look forward to whatever End Toys does next because this was a pleasant surprise. Catch you guys next time.